Families are greatly impacted by the amount of various resources, financial and otherwise, that they have. And that impacts the lived experience of families in really, really excruciating ways. And so the way that we're going to frame it this week are with two sociological terms: structure and agency. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I managed to, I think, get through an entire undergraduate degree, not really learning about them. And I ended up in graduate school in sociology. And there was a classmate that would constantly refer to structure and agency. And I'm like, what is that? I don't know how I didn't learn it. And then I went to learn it and I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really, really crucial. And so, kind of going to take a look at structure and agency because thinking about the resources that we get a chance to grow up with, right? It's the roll of the dice. We can be born into a family with a great deal of resources, or a family that never has to worry about having just enough. Or we can be born into a family that, for a myriad of reasons, doesn't have the societal resources that are required in order to achieve success in our society. It doesn't mean you can't overcome it. That's what we're going to talk about. But you can really, really have kind of a whole great deal of stressors kind of stacked against you. So the term structure means that society kind of has structure and exists and is maintained in that way. And it's a lot about our social institutions. The education institution, think about navigating that. The medical institution, like think about having medical insurance that you can count on to be able to take care of medical bills. And I mean, that's life changing. Or that can be devastating when a family gets a diagnosis that doesn't get covered. And it's kind of a choice between how do you have financial security and the care that is required. How society impacts individuals, like the opportunities that exist, possibly like in relation to how much college costs. When people, don't have respect for the fact that so many students end up with sometimes tens of $1,000s of student loans, and that, that seems, college, well, you should work and you should pay for college. Well, maybe those people that are saying that aren't paying 40, $50,000 for, college. They paid, I don't know, 13 total. Like thinking through kind of the way that society um, is structured and acts on individuals. These opportunities can either sometimes, like, you get great opportunities, right? You get a full ride to a really expensive school, or you get enrolled in a charter elementary school that just, for some reason, gets to focus in on so many things that help you grow so much as a student, or you get to live in an area. Are there any left? That, people can afford living expenses like rent or a mortgage, or you can purchase a house, something along those lines. That sometimes are opportunities that people have, but also then sometimes they don't. And so it can constrain your opportunities to behavior. And ultimately, structure can be the burden of inequality. It can weigh you down. It can give you a lot of symbolic but very real stressors that you have to carry around with you. And then our society looks at you and says, work harder, right? Work harder. And we are left thinking that it's our fault and that if we only somehow could figure out a way to get it right. And so, in a world of structure, you also have agency, which is how we act in society, and it's our choices. Because technically, we always sort of have choices, right? We have the opportunity to be like, let's see, I will do some work on the side of my job to earn more money. I will spend really responsibly and really try to maximize the funds that I get. I will take 6 classes in a semester and push myself as hard as I possibly can so that I don't spend as much time and I can get through my degree as fast as possible. Like we have these choices. It doesn't mean that they're easy. It doesn't mean that they're even fair, quite honestly. But we have the opportunity to have some free will. It's our ability to achieve societal goals. And if you look at this one specifically, if you think about A is having a societal goal and B is achieving it, like it's the way that we go about achieving our goals. I'm going to expand on that in a second. And then it's our capacity to overcome socioeconomic and social inequalities. We love those stories as a society, don't we? The people that overcome, the person who grappled with housing insecurity and went to Harvard. Like we love those stories of success and they are amazing. But what ends up happening is then we expect that story of success from everyone. Well, they did it. Why can't you? And that's where the tension ends up, that the level of expectation to overcome everything, no matter what, that's a lot. So, expanding, like I said, on A to B, think about A as a societal goal. A little kid wants to learn how to read, needs to learn how to read. B is that they can become a reader. Somebody in high school wants to go to a 4 year school. B, in whatever, in California, A through G eligible, that kind of thing. B is getting accepted to college, right? So A is having that goal, B is achieving it. So there's lots of different ways to go about it. If you look at that yellow line that goes like backwards, I mean, technically that's me with my education, totally screwing up and flunking out the first time. But if I stand here today and everybody's like, that's so cool that you went back to school, it's because I had the resources to. That's what makes the big difference. I can't be like, you're right, I'm such a hard worker. No. Yeah, did I work hard? Absolutely, I did, but I had the opportunity to. Because in a lot of situations, a lot of people, their lived experience would be maybe they get one chance at college if they totally screwed up or they struggle for a myriad of reasons because they didn't have the resources to get through college. In my case, I did, and it was me that made poor decisions. But anybody who struggles for myriad of reasons outside of themselves is also going to be treated like they are a failure, even though they are not. They were up against it, right? The burden of inequality. So thinking about the fact that you have all these different ways that you can achieve a goal. Let's go back to the reading example. What needs to be in place for a little kid to learn how to read? Access to books, right? Somebody to sit there and read and practice reading with them. Possibly like libraries or bookstores or places that maybe you could go to hear books and have it like be performed and see that reading is fun. Um, Things like that, being and not being impacted by various learning disabilities that might get in the way and making reading really, really challenging. My daughter has never liked reading because she has auditory and visual processing disabilities in relation to her cerebral palsy. Like academics are miserable to her. Did she work really hard to be successful in school and find ways around it? Yes. Does she really still know how to read? Not really, not from a comprehension standpoint, but she can, the words in front of her, she can like state them, but she can't necessarily multitask and understand them. So, like, the fact that she got to where she is because she had so many various resources in her schooling system that we as parents knew to advocate for. That's not necessarily something that everybody has. And so what ends up happening when you have structure, agency is all those messy, colorful lines. Structure is those black lines that just kind of hone people, like they hold them back. If you look at that yellow line now, that's not going backwards. That's not getting a second chance. And so that's why I want to focus in on this idea of societal goals, because so often they are earned in relation to our families. How many students are first generation college students and have a multi generational family? That this is going to create opportunities for your family going forward. That's agency. To work hard, to be part of programs in high school and do the things that you need to do to get into college. It's amazing. It's an amazing accomplishment. But the amount of pressure that society puts. Quite honestly, not to go off on a tangent, but Cal State Long Beach as an institution, as a person myself who has a tendency to be pretty emotional and pretty sensitive, like they're the like underlying stress that is present with the vast majority of students because this education is an investment that they very well are going to have to work very hard to pay off. And there is a narrative being sold to all of you that this is the way that you earn a middle class lifestyle for your family by coming and getting these degrees in various areas so that you can go work in, the medical field or something that is, they kind of almost feel like they're giving students fewer and fewer choices. But the goal is that you earn this degree so that you can go out and earn a middle class lifestyle. And that tension of like society is kind of telling you you only get one chance at it. And society is very much even making the investments that you are making in your future in a world of the living expenses being as ridiculous as they are and everything else. That tension, you are trying so hard. Society and the way that it's stacking things up against many of us, that's the tension between structure and agency. That underlying tension of stress that I can pick up from students constantly. It's heartbreaking. It's not a great place to be in order to have a space to learn and work hard. I can't change things on a macro level. I wish I could, but I can on a micro level. And I do want to just take that time right now to kind of acknowledge that because that's a huge, huge part of social inequalities and trying to earn resources that you deserve for your family, whatever shape or size it may be going forward. So, these are kinds of the things that we've been talking about, right? That some people can just run and run and run, and they are not held down by anything. Some people are held down by some challenges, and some people are really, really overwhelmed by challenges. And again, families are the place in our society where we are raising people and we are trying to give them the best opportunities we possibly can in life, in our society, as many resources as we can create. And some families are absolutely up against the stressors of resources and socioeconomic status in our society. Some are not. So when you're listening to this, you very well could be from any family that has any amount of resources at your disposal. But if you're from a family that has had enough, that you've grown up and you haven't had to worry, take a moment and really, really think about the fact that some people, absolutely, the things that you may take for granted, other people have never been able to take for granted. And if you are a person that has grown up in a family that has struggled mightily financially, and you are trying to earn the opportunity to change this for future generations, I don't even know what to, I'm so proud of you. I'm so sorry that society is increasingly making it difficult, but you're going to do it. You're going to kick ass. I totally believe in you.